Hello, welcome to Search with Sean, and this is part of our Chat with Sean series, and I'm really excited about our guest today. But before we move on, I'll just go over myself again, which hopefully you know by now. My name is Sean, and I've been working in digital marketing now for a good few years and focused on SEO for several years. And I'm currently the SEO manager at Macmillan Cancer Support, so really enjoying it there. And like I say, this series is all about chatting to really influential people in the SEO space. I might move into like digital marketing and AI, who knows where we go down the line. But my guest today is really someone I've been following for a while. You probably see me share his stuff and also kind of include him in many of my shout outs. But so today's guest is Daniel Foley Carter. And I'll just give a quick intro into him and what he's up to. So Daniel Carter Foley is a highly experienced SEO consultant with over 20 years experience. Having built websites in the mid-90s, Daniel has begun search engine optimization courses during the summer of 1998. At this time, the marketplace was predominantly Yahoo, and SEO was a very different game when compared to modern SEO. So he's been doing it for a very long time and he knows his stuff, trust me. He is a director at Assertive SEO Audits IO and SEO Stack, and also offers SEO webinars and training for international organizations. So really experienced. And what I like about you, Daniel, is more than most people is you just say it how it is. And I like that in any walk of life. But you in the SEO world, that's sometimes rare to come by. So that's obviously something I really like about yourself. But welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I think one point I have to make is so I've sort of been doing SEO for quite some time, but I've been more in the shadows. I'm not, I don't really speak at events or things like that. It's something I'd planned to do. And it wasn't until the last couple of months that I started going on more and more podcasts with people. But one thing I always want to convey, and I think it's important for people to understand, is obviously, we're on social media, we're on LinkedIn and other platforms. And I think from an SEO point of view, we all want our fair share of exposure on the platform. So, you get lots of people that use LinkedIn to convey SEO advice. And one of the things that I'm trying to sort of curve away from is, whilst I might tell it like it is, sometimes some of my stuff can come out or might come across as semi-patronizing or a bit like, when someone has like a big ego and they throw that around, and then they go from someone that's respected to someone that is just, out there throwing stuff around. I have massive respect for a lot of people in the SEO community. But I think one of the things that sort of got me to where I am in terms of my following is, as you said, I'll tell things like they are from my perspective. I think it's important. Everyone will have their own perspective on things. My perspective of a lot of what I see on social is, there's a mix. There's a lot of people on social that, post, say, SEO tips and things that, is bad advice, but they might just be junior in their career and not know that. But then you get people that are purposely posting like bad advice and they know it's bad advice, but they're doing it for the engagement and the clout. So it's my mission to really, just try and convey as much information as I can, but without coming across as like, I have like some superiority complex. I don't see myself as better than anyone else. But one thing I will say is that if you can find anyone that loves SEO more than me, please do let me know who those people are.
Yeah, and I can feel that. And, I personally don't take it that way. I it makes me question sometimes when I read your post about, actually, that is a really good point. Am I doing the right thing? So, for me, that's how I see it. And if I've got your name mixed up at the beginning, by the way, I do.
No, that's fine. Don't worry. I get
version.
people. Yeah, I get like guest post emails calling me Danielle. So
Okay, well, hopefully it won't. So yeah, I guess first of all, you have got a few different products and services that you offer, and so it'd be good to go over kind of how it all got started, what the different products and services are, and what makes them unique, and we've got a couple other things, but just start off there.
Absolutely. So what I can maybe do is provide a little bit of context about the story, and then just some examples of my work. So I can share my screen and do like a very top level quick run through, and then obviously we can go through your questions. So I'll share my screen. There we go. Right, I have lots of screens, so whenever I do these screen share things, right, so it's that one. I brought a new webcam and a new mic to do like higher quality recordings, but the problem is the higher definition cameras get, the worse I look. So it's like it highlights like all the haggard aging of not only being an SEO but staying up all night. So a little very like quick run through. So I started SEO in I'd say 99. I do say 98, 99. I started doing SEO. Basically, long story short, I got my first computer when I was 5. Used it to play games. Then in the mid 90s to late 90s, I was learning how to program in Visual Basic. By the time I was 11, I could write fully fledged applications in Visual Basic 6. So what I tried to do is I built these little applications, and then I tried to sell them. So I set my first website up. I think it was on GeoCities or Angel Fire. So I set my website up, tried to put my stuff on there to sell. And then obviously at that point, I realized, I need to get people to my website. I had a little stat counter at the bottom to see how many people in a guest book. So then I started learning like how to get, my website on Alta Vista, Lycos, Inktomi, Hotbot, Dogpile, you name it. There were loads of search engines. So that was like my first ever sort of entry into SEO. Then obviously I was doing SEO predominantly on Yahoo and MSN Search and Alta Vista. Then as I left school and I went into further education, it just wasn't for me. So I dropped out. I then got a job working for a web design company called Odyssey UK 2003, which was my first experience doing it. And then I was doing SEO early 2000s. So Google had obviously come onto the scene. And then I went from agency to agency for the next few years. Then in 2007, I decided that I was going to set up my own agency. So I set it up in the background whilst I was working other jobs. It took me maybe 2-3 years to get my first clients and start making money. Then I ran Assertive from 2007 all the way till 2019. And Assertive was like my primary focus. And then through some business challenges, COVID, we faced some hardship. So I basically didn't know what was going to happen with the business. COVID really impacted us because we had a lot of travel clients, hospitality clients. So in a panic, I set up an independent consultancy just as a backup. And one of the things that I advocated was, that I'd rank top for SEO freelance, SEO consultant, loads of stuff. So I got to number 1 for that. Started to get clients through that. And then the agency recovered and the agency grew and my consultancy was already quite big. So they both ran parallel to one another. And then whilst I was, working with clients, every time a client would come to me, they would send me the work that they had done. And, it was like late 2019, early 2020. And I just seen so many bad audits, like the same thing over and over again. So I decided that enough was enough and that I wanted a specialist audit brand that basically would produce the best quality audits that money could buy. So I did the same thing. So I launched SEO Audits IO. Same principle. I got it to #1 for the very thing that I do. So I think this is really key. One of the things that I'll always do is I'll always put my money where my mouth is. So when I sell SEO webinars and education, it's always off of the back of my own experience that I demonstrate. And I think this is one of the things. There's a lot of SEO education out there, but if you find SEO education out there, you need to be really careful, because if you're taking it from people that have nothing to demonstrate their expertise, you don't know what you're getting. So I launched the audits business, and I then started doing webinars and basically share my knowledge of everything. And the webinars have been massively successful. Despite the low volume of reviews, I've sold over 3,000 now. I've had loads of feedback. It's really hard to get people to leave reviews, but it is what it is. And then as I was doing the audits, loads of the processes that I run when I do audits is really time consuming. So then I decided that it was time to build a SAP platform. So after that, I decided that I would build SEO Stack. So if you just bear with me, I will pull SEO Stack up.
Yeah, sweet.
1 second.
It's really impressive, though, what, putting your money where your mouth is, that sort of thing. It's really impressive so far.
Yeah. So what I then did is, because I had the audits brand, the consultancy, the agency, I then embarked on building SEO Stack. So Assertive was growing. My consultancy was, quite large. The audits business boomed beyond any comprehension. So, so all of this stuff is going. And then I realize, like, so much of the industry is reliant on a very small number of tools. Like, there are loads of SEO tools out there, but a small handful, which we all know, dominate the space. You have SEMrush, you have Ahrefs, you have SE Ranking, you have Sitebulb. There are loads of tools out there, but a small number of them dominate the marketplace. Yet Search Console is the best place to go for first-party data. But then you have the age-old problem where Search Console just has all these limitations. So you have data access limitations, data retention limitations, reporting limitations, filtering limitations, just all these limitations. And whilst there are some solutions with BigQuery and Looker Studio, there's no uniform central platform. Okay. So I embarked on building SEO Stack, which that's another whole can of worms that I'll get to. But then I got to the point of burnout. So I'm doing all these things, and I'm getting to the point where 18 hours a day is the norm. And unfortunately, over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been suffering from a health perspective quite badly. So, something had to give. So I shut my consultancy earlier this year. I had to shut it down and merge as much as I could into the agency. And then I've just been sort of working. So, Assertive has been growing. We've been hiring, and I'm just basically trying to reduce my workload. But I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this at the minute, because SEO Stack basically is what I'm hoping will be revolutionary in the SEO industry. And I'll go into why shortly. So here we are in 2024. So I have SEO Stack, I have my agency, I have the audits business. The consultancy site is still there, it still ranks, but I don't trade as a consultant anymore. So basically I turn people away, or I just tell them that it will be through the agency, and that's that.
Yeah.
So as it stands at the minute, the next thing really is SEO Stack. This is this is the thing that I'm putting everything into, because when you work in the industry, you know where the problems are. And that's explicitly what I've been working to solve. So I can give you a bit of a run through if you have any questions beforehand.
No, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's so busy, and I can understand why you wanted to drop at least one of those things, because you know, you need some rest as well. So that makes total sense. But I think we lost Daniel for a bit, so hopefully he'll return very soon. Or you're stuck with me. But basically, we're going to go over the product SEO stack. I think we've been joined back.
Sorry,
there you go. It's fine. I was just telling everyone what we're about going out to, but yeah. So yeah, let's go over SEO Stack and see what that's all about. I know you've made some great sort of inroads there with that product, and also we can go over. I know there's a couple kind of jobs that you're looking for at least a few, one or two people, so that would be good to shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll do, I need to share my screen again, don't I? Okay, so I'll run through a little bit about SEO Stack, and then we can go from there. So I'm just getting everything set up. Right. Hopefully my connection doesn't drop again. It's been a little bit funny today.
So we've all been
right. So
here we go.
Okay. So this is actually not the live environment. I'm just showing you this to begin with because there's a feature on here that we're about to deploy to the live environment. I can explain it from the live environment. So basically, the one thing that I'll explain is that so we've basically rebuilt the Search Console interface. Obviously, there's some differences to it, but we've tried to basically keep it so that it doesn't feel alien. I think one of the issues is that so you've got like SEOs that use SEMrush or Ahrefs or third-party data. Then you have some SEOs that will export to BigQuery and they'll use Looker Studio, and they can create dashboards. That's fine, but what SEO Stack is as a big data product is, rather than it being like an extension or an overlay, this is a fully rebuilt version of GSC. So basically, if I do anything, if I interact with any of the data, this is not communicating with Google at all. What we do is we download all of the data. That data is chunked and encrypted. And basically, because we have all of that data, we can bypass all the limitations, improve performance, and because we have the data, we can use AI to analyze patterns in data that otherwise we couldn't do because it's not scalable. If me or you looked at large data sets, we would only be able to digest small amounts at a time. Obviously, if you've got all of the data and you have large language models, you can extrapolate trends in data that otherwise you couldn't get from using Google BigQuery with Looker Studio or anything else. So there are a few tools like SEO Gets, GSC Guardian, but they interact with GSC in real time. They're not. This is a standalone product. So basically, the first part of this is that we've kept the GSC style of interface. So if you were to start using this, you wouldn't come in here and feel like you're looking at a completely different tool. Now, one of the things before I get into this is that, we have our data. We know in GSC we can't overlay anything on GSC charts, but here we can. Now, we're just about to change this because you see here where it says algo update, and you can see on top of the GSC update, on top of the GSC data, we have our updates, right? To show what core updates these are. We're just about to deploy this new system where you can actually select, you can see different colors for different update types. So you can see if something is a core update or a spam update or a views update, they all have their own color key.
That's
so we
really
can see
good.
here, for example, this website was taken out by helpful content update. So you can literally differentiate between updates by the color coding system. So we're just about to launch that to replace the single red line. So in here, we have all your data. Now, the first thing to note is that we have something called first data point. So, you know, in Search Console, the limitation is 16 months, right?
Yeah.
So watch this. So I'm just going to find the website that we're looking at in GSC.
That's really good though. That especially the updates, you know, because it can get a bit hard to tell. You know, they're all the same color and stuff. It makes it a lot more difficult to read.
Yeah. So we wanted to make it so it's easier to differentiate between updates. So the furthest back we can see in GSC, we can see the furthest we can see back is Thursday, the 16th of March, 2023. Okay. So keep that date in mind, Thursday, 26th of March. But in here, so just bear in mind, the amount of data that we have is dependent on how long ago we added the website. So when you add a website, we get the 16 months of data. We store that data, and then every day we append another day's data on top. So if you add a website today, then in a month from now, you'll have 17 months of GSC data. So if we select first data point, we can see data for February. And the cutoff point for GSC at the minute is the 16th of March. So this data here, we've still got. But not only do we have the data, we have everything. So if I now look, so the cutoff date is the 16th of March. So I can select custom, select the first date and then the second date. So this data now would otherwise be gone forever. But we have everything. We have every single query. There's 7,000 queries there. So there's every bit of data, and you can click and interact and see everything. So you can click on this and you can see the average position, impression changes for every single. So this data, the whole data set is preserved. So you imagine if you had SEO Stack for a year, you would have 16 plus 12 months. So you'd have 28 months of data where you could see every single data point, every query, every average position, every device, every bit of data is preserved.
Nice.
So it's classed as data warehousing. So an organization might want 5-10 years of GSC data where they can access it exactly as if they were in the GSC interface. Okay, because even if you use BigQuery to back your data up and use Looker Studio, you're not getting the same GSC experience.
No.
Whereas this is the data warehouse and it keeps the GSC experience. So you've got unlimited data storage, and obviously you can access every bit of your data. The next thing is, and you'll probably already know it, so if we do a side by side here, right? So I want all the keywords with the word bulk in. And then I want then I want to apply another filter, right? So now I want to exclude any queries with the word food in. But you can't do that. GSC doesn't let you. You can't do query contains and not contains at the same time. SEO Stack, you can. So if I now want to do bulk, and then I want to do not containing food, I can layer up as many filters as I like. You can't do that in GSC. So you can see here, I've got all my bulk queries without the word food in. And you can layer up everything, even regex. So we support matches and doesn't match regex as well.
Yeah, I was going to say if you wanted certain questions or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and we're working on query groups and content groups. So there'll be content groups where you can create a content group for all your pages and a query group if you just want to track specific query performance. We have pre-filters. Again, these are about to be extended. We're working on phase 2 at the minute. So phase 2 is going to bring some insane filtering with it. You'll be able to filter by HTTP status. So you'll actually be able to filter by all active URLs. So you'll be able to see all your GSC traffic for active URLs. So there's absolutely crazy filtering coming. We have the ability to filter the chart. So to set like minimums for clicks, impressions, or anything like that. So we have our algo updates. Obviously, as I showed you, that's about to change to the colored system. And then we have our AI annotation system. So this is like the super intelligent part of SEO Stack. So when you look at it, like BigQuery and Looker Studio and these other tools, they might display your data, but what can they do with it? So what we've done is we use large language modeling to look at the impact of all the work that you do. So if I tell SEO Stack that maybe I revamped content, improved content by answering commonly asked questions, added new internal links. You can add video in, you can link stuff, you can format, you can do all of that. Tell SEO Stack when you made that change. Select who made that change. So this has a team function, and I'll explain the benefits of that shortly. Then you can select what kind of things that you did. And these will auto-populate if you provide an API key, or we can provide an API key at additional cost. Okay, but this will basically get like top-level metrics. And then this functionality here, email me if there are significant changes after the annotation date. So what that will now do is it will now track that page's performance, and it will use AI to look at the data, because remember, this is a big data tool. We have every single bit of data for every single URL on the domain. So because we have that data, we feed it into large language model, and we can look at queries lost, queries gained, average position changes, what queries for that page exhibit the position gain versus a loss, dilution. So because we can feed all of that data, we can get a much better outlook as to did the stuff that we did actually have a positive or a negative impact. And SEO Stack will come back to you to continuously feedback whether there's a negative or a positive correlative trend.
When does that happen? Like just if something major happens, or is that like you can set it for weekly or monthly or?
No, so it uses, so what it does is whenever you log the annotation, what it will do is then it will have the data behind the annotation, but from the date that you add it, it then waits 30 days to start benchmarking the data.
Okay.
And if a core update rolls out on the interim, it stops the test and prompts you to restart them.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, it's very good. Yeah.
So we'll soon have so we are building some dashboards where you can look at all of your annotation performance, and it will show you what's trending up, what's neutral, and what's trending down. So you'll have that. Awesome. So the benefit of the AI annotation system is not only does it create accountability for the work that you're doing, but it also creates accountability for your team. So scenario, let's say you had 3 writers working in your company or in your agency. When you invite them to SEO Stack, when they log the annotation, it will be logged against their name. So we can benchmark each user's performance and understand what looks to be having a positive impact, what isn't having a positive impact. And we can use that to model if we need to look at where there are inefficiencies.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, and also it helps you really understand if you are going to roll something out further, or you're just going to try it with a few different pages and see if it actually has an impact and that kind of thing.
That's it. And at the same time, you will be able to see all of the work that's being done on each URL on top of your GSC data. And we also have, the annotations area where you can go in, you can select your time frame, and you can see what stuff's been done, who it's been done by, and you can export that, or you can import and export annotations. So, and we're working on phase 2. We're bringing project management into SEO Stack. So, like Notion, Trello, Asana, Monday, we're bringing that functionality into SEO Stack. So your project management will be connected to your GSC and your GA4 data.
Okay, so you could technically hook up Trello to, or it'd be like a Trello type.
Yeah. So basically, if you've got your project management and all of your Search Console and GA4 data together, we can correlate all of the work that's being done with what's working and what's not. And then we can use AI to produce reports to give you insights at where there's spend inefficiency, where there's inefficiency in output, so that you can address it.
Yeah, great. And you're talking about the team functionality. If we head on to any other topics, if we should cover that, that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely. So, so we'll work our way through. So there's a team functionality. Just bear with me 1 second. So, okay. So there's a team member functionality. And what that allows you to do is, let's say you're an SEO agency and you've got 50 clients. You can invite members of your team and you can limit what websites they have access to. So you can literally set permissions, read or write, so they can create an annotation, or they can only look at the data. So the benefit there is, traditionally, let's say you're an agency and you want to subcontract some work out, but you don't want the client to have to add another GSC email. You don't need to do that in SEO Stack. SEO Stack allows you to sub-delegate, because once you import the website into SEO Stack, you don't need GSC anymore. You can sub-delegate from SEO Stack.
I'm sure we've all been there. The Google search console issue, trying to add all the different, So that'd be really handy, especially for, say, agencies.
Yeah, so you can have an account and you can import websites from all different Google accounts and have them all in one place.
Is there a limit, or in terms of?
The only limitation is the amount of websites, depending on what plan you pick.
Okay.
So next thing, you've got export. You can export to PDF, which you can't do in GSC. And here, when you export to Google Sheets, you can actually customize your export. And unlike Google Sheets, this will export all of the data, everything. So I can export 26,974 queries. So you can customize what tabs you have in your export and get all of the data. Really cool. Next thing is you have the ability to switch between day and month view. I can't tell you how annoying it is in GSC that you can't do that. So you can actually smooth out trends, and then you can see by month how many clicks you're getting by month as opposed to a day view.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, all of this works exactly the same. So you can see your algo updates and annotations together. Then obviously you can access every single query. So you can put in bulk, and that will search 26,000 keywords, and that just found 4,100 keywords like that.
And when you go down to keyword level, is there, I guess it's, is there any sort of special functionalities around those, or?
Yeah, so you can literally interact with this exactly the same as you do in GSC. But obviously the benefit, I've clicked this keyword, so I'm now seeing the organic performance for this keyword. So, you know, it's harder sometimes when you're looking at like a specific query. And if you've got like an average position line like that, it's really hard to understand the trajectory. So when you have it on a month view as opposed to a day view, instead of it looking like that, you can actually see the trends much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much better.
So you have that. So the lazy search basically allows you to access all of your queries faster. We have pages functionality with HTTP status. This will populate shortly. But basically, you can see all of the HTTP statuses for each URL. It does refresh once or twice a day, so sometimes it can take a minute before it will show all of them. But you'll be able to see all of your HTTP statuses for your URLs. So one of the annoying things in GSC is that you don't know if a URL is active anymore. And we're about to roll out GA4 integration here. And we'll also be adding date of last click. So you'll be able to see your URLs and the date that they last generated a click.
Oh, that's really, yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be good.
Yeah. And obviously we have
events and stuff like that. Are you going to be integrating?
Yeah, we're going to be pulling in GA4 data, so you can look at your page clicks, impressions, and then time on page.
Nice.
So we're going to use that as part of HCU analysis. So if we see like loads of your URLs were hit by HCU, we'll use AI to look at the relationship between how much content is there and average time on page.
Yeah, very good.
So we're going to do some absolutely crazy stuff. So basically, you've got your GSC-esque style of interface here, and you can access all of your data. The other thing that you can do as well is you can full screen. You can zoom in and out. You can actually move the data around. You can switch between day and month in here as well. So after that, we then started building out other tools. So we took Search Console comparison. So if I show you it here, Search Console's comparison is in the same interface. We've not done that because we're building in loads of additional tools and functionality. So if I do compare last 3 months year over year for the whole domain, this is what I get. And if you look, it says 1 to 10 of 1,487. You can see that?
Yeah.
Whereas in here, if we do the same thing, compare last 3 months year over year, we've got 17,659.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. So basically, if you export this, you literally get just 1,000 rows of data, 1,400 rows of data. Whereas ours, when you export, you can export to Google Sheets. You can customize whether you want queries and pages at the same time. Click max, and it will build a whole click gap for you to show you all of the stuff that's lost and gained. So awesome. The benefit here is you can also see the trend. and you can customize what columns you see. So you can customize that. Okay. And you can access every bit of data, or you can sort by biggest winners, biggest losers. But the point is that you've got all of the data. You haven't got to mess around with search analytics for sheets. You haven't got to mess around with anything. All of the data is one click, and then it's there and available to you. And then obviously on top, you have your algo updates, you have your annotations as well, and then the ability to switch between a day and a month view. So what we're going to be doing with this is, because this is phase 1, phase 2, we're bringing AI modules into all of the tools. So the AI module will tell you, it will write a summary of what it sees in the data. So if it sees, for example, that, let's say you've got like an e-commerce website, let's say 90% of your losses are products, the AI module will say, hi, Sean, we've looked at this. 90% of the losses are products, 5% are collections, and it will give you an overview of all of the data. So you don't even have to look at it. It will just tell you what's going on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you know, I love everything about AI and SEO. So getting them combined is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's going to save so much time in digging through that data and messing around, like say, with different data sets. And it's going to save so much time in that respect. And it looks smart, and it looks like you say, something that is familiar to many. Even if you're not that experienced in SEO, like many people would start off with Search Console and then go from there. So and what's phase 1, that's really impressive, to be fair. So good job.
Yeah, and what's going to be amazing is we're doing a whole academy. So if you sign up, you're going to get all video tutorials. We're going to show you how to use every part of it, how things work, how to interpret the data. So it's also going to help people make the most of it. And then obviously, because we're a big data tool and we're using AI for analysis, using specific aggregated data sets, we're getting far more productivity out of it, because, we're actually looking at the wider picture. These tools are not ready yet. They are in development. But basically, when you go into Google and you go into here, and you go into here and you get 1,000 URL limitations. Luckily, this site's small, so it doesn't have that. But, you might have 5,000 URLs in crawled currently not indexed, where we're building this exact functionality in SEO Stack, but we're bypassing the 1,000 URL limit. And again, we're going to use AI to come back to you and summarize what's in crawled currently not indexed and why might it be there. And then it will tell you, it will give you a report of all the subfolders and the content types, and it will tell you how much of it is HTTP 200, how much of it is legacy broken stuff. It'll give you a full report and actions on how to resolve it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've just done that analysis myself on a few of our kind of subsections, I guess, and it took a while because, as you say, they're not that user friendly at the moment. So you really have to do some messing around with data and stuff. So yeah, that'd be fab. And just before, where can people go to kind of get access or request access? Or
so you can sign up at www.seo-stack.io. So you can actually go on there now. Now, one of the things we hired someone to basically create a website. We're not overly happy with it, so it is going to change. At the minute, it's just a stopgap. We're going to get something like really nice high-end done. But it is what it is for now. You can go on here, you can sign up, and at the bottom, there's a 1 hour and 40-minute long video that walks you through the stack to explain what it is. So you don't even have to sign up if you don't want to. You can just watch the video. If you decide it's not for you, fine. If you do decide to sign up, I will share the promo code that will give you 50% off of any plan for a year. So So, you know, a light plan will be £25 a month for free websites, 30 gig of data, 16 months. Basic, obviously, will be half price. Basically, any of the plans are half price for 12 months. You can sign up and you can get access. We do agency plans. We do all custom plans as well. One other thing, for any larger organizations that might watch this, we also provide a self-hosted version of SEO Stack. So you can basically have the data stored where you want it, and then you just pay for the use of SEO Stack. So we offer, it's called Enterprise. So we know some organizations might not be happy about third-party data warehousing, even though when we were developing it, one of the specs was to make it so that the data was encrypted and chunked. So basically, we don't store data together. It's all fragmented and it's encrypted. So there's no way for that data to be read or looked at by anyone other than the account holder. So when you import a website into SEO Stack, that data is only accessible by you and no one else. And obviously, anyone that you give a login to. But we as the development company behind it, we can't see any of that data. We have it in our data policies, and we had to obviously fulfill that requirement to get Google approval.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a Google approved product because you don't get the warning when you import a site. So you go here to sign up, and obviously I'll provide the coupon code when you sign up that will give you 50% off.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll put all the links in the description anyway, so people can go and check that out in their own time. And yeah, that'd be great to get the promo code and stuff. That'd be really helpful. And I've obviously had a little sneak around the platform myself, and it was really cool. I wish I could spend longer, but you know what?
Yeah, I appreciate.
But yeah, so is there anything else you want to cover? I mean, like I said, there was a couple of roles that you were looking at for. I don't know if you want to shout out about that. There might be someone on the call.
Yeah, so basically, SEO Audits IO as a brand is growing. However, we're looking to take on, you know, a full-time SEO specialist. So we're based near Milton Keynes. We have an office. We're looking ideally to have someone that comes in, you know, 2 to 3 days a week. So it's a hybrid role, part work from home, part work at the office. But to give you like an overview, so we're looking for someone that's got really good, solid SEO experience. So they should know, obviously, everything from crawling a website through to how to analyze indexing issues, through to how to perform a full search console data audit, how to perform a tech audit, a content audit, a link audit, performance and rendering audits, marketplace analysis. So basically, it's like a fairly I would say a role where someone needs to have fairly good SEO experience. You know, we produce some extremely long audits, and everything that we produce is like really bespoke. Anyone that wants to apply can just go to SEO-audits.io and basically fill out a contact form or reach me directly on LinkedIn. We are going to put a careers page up as well, so people can apply through the website. So we're recruiting for that, and we're recruiting for one full-time SEO specialist to work for Assertive. So we basically we have a careers page on here. I'll share the link where people can apply directly through the website. So we're looking for a mid-tier SEO, and we're looking for a full-time SEO. So we've got a few roles. I'll share them with you so you can share them. But yeah, we're looking for like the best of the best, basically.
Sweet. No, I mean, that'd be great. And I'll put links in there and kind of direct people to that. Yeah, I guess we'll just kind of move on just so we can get through a few more topics. But it's great to go through the products. And obviously, as things evolve, we can also, you know, hopefully get you back on and go through those and obviously share some like success stories around the products and stuff. That'd be awesome as it grows.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess obviously we had a couple of topics to go through, and I know you got strong views on all these things, so that's why I wanted to get to them. So current state of search, obviously, some people say it's kind of the worst it's been for a while, but obviously you've been there from the very start, so I guess you'll be the best to talk about it. What would you say in terms of like, what is the current state of search? Is it in dire straits, or is it kind of just where you expect it to be?
I mean, to be honest, search will never ever be a clean place. It will never be a place where where everything is just like well balanced. So the state of search, the biggest problem with search at the minute is multifaceted. So you have problems search engine side. So Google is trying to push a product that people haven't asked for, and the execution of it is atrocious. So anyone that's been around long enough to know will know that Google over the years has ran many products, platforms, acquisitions, and it's made a lot of bad decisions and abandoned a lot of things. One of them being Google Glass, Google Plus, which was their attempt at a social platform.
Yeah.
Search generative, SGE, search generative experience. This is just another one of those products that people didn't ask for. But as we know, when you've got behemoths like Google, they are constantly trying to please shareholders. So they need to improve revenue, and they need to be seen as tech innovators. So you can't have Bing deploying AI in search and then sit back, because it doesn't matter how big you are, you're never too big to fail. So Google has panicked, knee-jerked in reaction to other search engines like Bing capitalizing on it. That means they've rushed a product that's not fit for purpose. We've seen that. Lily Ray posts tons of content, tons of examples of just terrible searches. So we have a problem. We have an intrinsic problem with search. The platform, Google, has problems. They've been trying to do too much, too many spinning plates in the name of revenue, and ultimately search has deteriorated. So we have AI in search, which admittedly it will get better, but it's not what we want at the minute, and it's destructive because they're scraping people's content, regurgitating stuff, and there's no, it's not always accurate and things like that. And then the other side of it, we have things like helpful content, which, needless to say, didn't have the impact that maybe Google were hoping for. And ultimately, it's ended up being disastrous. Loads of bad PR. The companies that followed the guidelines that Google set out only to get decimated and have their results displaced by trash. So search is broken, but it's been broken for a long time. And Google's always fighting an uphill battle with it. And then the other side of the industry is broken. So SEO is a non-curricular activity. You don't go to school and then to college and you learn an SEO degree. There's no single unified place for people to learn SEO. You've got SEMrush guides, you have Ahrefs guides, you have guides on Backlinko, videos from Neil Patel. You've got SEO stuff all over the place. And it's hard for people. People come into the SEO industry because they want that as a career. There's loads of bad information out there, loads of misinformation. So we have an industry now that's filling up. I think SEO year on year has seen well in triple digit growth in terms of new SEO, people entering the industry. And when you combine inexperience with stuff going on like the role of AI, you've got all these people now riding the AI wagon. Here's how I did this keyword research in 10 minutes. I'll produce X article frameworks in 5 seconds. All this bad advice that inexperienced SEOs look at it and they're like, wow, and then they adopt it. So we then end up, with an industry where search is broken, and then the people at the bottom end are joining the spam side of it because they don't know any better. And then you've got the LinkedIn influencers and social influencers that capitalize on people's inexperience because they get loads of engagement. So both sides are broken. It's not going to go away anytime soon. I think the industry needs regulation and a shake-up. And I think Google's lost its roots.
I was going to say, sorry, Daniel. I was going to say, in a year's time, how do you see things perhaps looking? Obviously, they're still going to try and roll out, the AI side of it across, roll it but into UK more and that kind of thing, and then also, this kind of snowball effects, like you're saying, from the SEOs may continue to happen as AI evolves, and so how does that stop, and how does Google fix all those problems as they're still trying to deliver a product, aren't they, as well? People are still paying for adverts and paying for their product.
I think, well, we've seen a massive rollback in SGE. So the number of queries that SGE is generating results for has fallen significantly. I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but there are various studies that have been conducted that show SGE serve rates have nosedived. So I think Google's wound a lot of it back. I also think that we are protected from SGE to a degree because the EU has a habit of suing Google for lots of different things, and scraping people's content and then using AI to rewrite it is tantamount to theft because you're taking someone else's work, using it to train a model, and then you're not crediting them. Or even if SGE, has obviously links to sources and things like that, it's still not the same. So I think Google are just going to face so many challenges from EU legislation. So I think they've done that whole AI integration. I think they're going to focus more on Gemini, and I think they'll refine SGE, change how and when it's served. I think over the next year we're going to see some big changes from helpful content perspective. Obviously, helpful content is now baked into Google's core algo, so I think there's going to be some rollback on that. So we've got that coming. But I don't think search is going to change dramatically. It's like, when ChatGPT came out and then so many people going on about, how it's going to kill Google, how they're going to release the search engine, but it's not. Like, Google's been around for 20, 25 years. You don't change consumer behavior overnight. It takes a generation shift. So AI is not going to, ChatGPT is not going to kill Google. AI search is not going to kill Google. Perplexity is not going to kill Google. I think things will improve over the next year. It's what we've seen in the last year has been quite unprecedented. We haven't seen, like, the last time we saw anything like helpful content was back in the days of Panda and Penguin. You're talking 10 years since we've seen an update that had such a dramatic impact. So I think those are really the core things over the next year.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it is something we're going to cover in the next news sort of episode. But obviously, the AI head of AI at Microsoft kind of said that content on the internet is kind of free for everyone. Sort of they're kind of, it's there to be taken and shared. Apparently, that's kind of in so many words. So that was quite a lot of people didn't like how he came out with that, because obviously people put a lot of hard work into their content. Well, most people. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see how it evolves. So I guess from your standpoint, what should SEOs be concentrating on right now compared to what they shouldn't be concentrating on, perhaps?
Building brand and user experience. So diversifying your organic strategy is one. So organic social, video, creating content with added value. So absolutely brand and brand trust are one key area. Obviously, that, you know, for most people means go out and get links, but actually no, it means, you know, building a community, nurturing brands, growing brand search volume, leveraging social to grow brand search volume. So yeah, so there's that. User experience. So user experience is primarily shaped by what you serve someone over the content that you've got. So I think people really need to now start taking a long, hard look at when they're creating a piece of content. You know, okay, before you create your content, have a look at what people are searching for, get that data, you know, use alsoasked.com. That drags out all of the people also ask data by API, and then it tiers it. And then you can use AI to basically look at that data and create a summary of priorities, what people seem to care about the most. Then you create your content in such a way that you're catering for a majority of audience. I call it information prioritization and information compression. So if you can give people the answer to something in half the time, you do it. Because if people psychologically want something and they know it's going to take them longer to get the outcome, they're more likely to abandon, and that leads to a bad click. And as we know from Google's antitrust trials, they don't fully understand content. So the best way to ascertain user behavior is by click behavior. And then we had the Google warehouse data leak. Obviously, loads of people capitalized on that, but I could tell you 99.99999% of SEOs read it. There was a load of buzz, died off. There's no way someone can extrapolate all of that data and then make anything meaningful of it. It's just a list of what Google may potentially use in countless different ways. So the way that you would do it is use common sense. User behavior is the biggest indicator of whether something is good or bad. So we're now moving to an era where, you know, behavior is the indicator. So this finally takes away, you know, the element of SEO that was creating content for SEO. And now it's really, what do we give the user to actually substantiate our offering? Those are the biggest things to focus on. And then obviously tech compliance, keeping your index lean and mean. Don't follow bad advice about pumping out loads of content. That's just not the way forwards. You know, those are like the core things I'd say.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And yeah, that's really great. And how are you doing on time before I start going through more questions? You good?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Yeah, I can do a few more minutes.
Sweet. Well, let me try and I think we've covered some really good stuff, but so I know you've got some strong views on this. So how should people be using AI and LLMs? You know, how should they kind of SEOs be using it? And I know we kind of touched on it a bit so far,
Yeah.
but how should they
Data.
be using it? How should they be using it?
Data analysis, not creation. So the problem is that LLMs are trained on pre-existing information. Google, well, if I describe the construct, it's really easy, right? Google has billions of pages in its index. Okay, so whenever you do a search for something in Google, there's results. Okay, and the problem is that if everyone is creating the same thing, there's no benefit. There's no new benefit. Okay, it's the principle of information gain. If someone types in lemon cheesecake recipe, okay, and you get your page one with a few different sites, there's some alterations on the recipes. The issue is that, you know, that's page one. There's probably going to be 500,000 pages with lemon cheesecake recipes. So the problem is in an era where every query already has mountains of results, why are you going to use a large language model trained on all of the pre-existing data to create something that already exists? And this is the problem. And we're at a point where Google is indexing less and less content, because if Google isn't likely to serve it, it won't index it. It's not like years ago where Google indexed everything and kept it. Google's not doing that anymore. So if you are using a large language model to produce content that already exists with no new added value, there is no benefit to that. I'm not saying that you can't use it and it won't work. In many cases, it can work to a degree. It's not sustainable. And I most certainly wouldn't be building a strategy around it. LLMs are better for analysis. Okay. That means not using them for keyword research, because the basis for that keyword data is where are they modeling the numbers? Where do they get the search volumes from? Keyword tools are already a nightmare because none of them are accurate. So you asking an LLM to do keyword research for you is just a no. So where you would use it is to find patterns in data, to strip out, feed it content and, get key insights into things that content covers. So AI and LLMs all the way for data analysis, just not creation.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's mainly why I use it for to be honest. I mean, obviously your tool is going to kind of look into that as well. So that's and yeah, it's pretty obvious for what Google's been saying recently, that they want to see unique content. What can you bring to the table that's unique, whether that's case studies, so on. So yeah, there's no point just doing what everyone else doing. Like you say, I've seen it myself with the amount of pages were indexed. It's going down and down all the time. It's becoming such a difficult place to get pages indexed.